Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, let's have some fun today. All right, there's everyone. Super, 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 super cool. All right, let's jump into it because I am a little bit short on time today because I have a hard deadline at 4 o'clock to complete something for court. So I have court Friday, and again, for those that don't know, I have a personal life that is very litigious. How's that for the word of the day? Litigious. And Friday is a big day. So I've been working on this particular court response since Saturday. So I think I spent 3 or 4 hours Saturday, 4 or 5 hours Sunday, same amount of time yesterday, and so far about 4 hours today because I was up at 2. And I'm in a good position to complete it. So I just want to put that out there because I see that there's emails I haven't gotten to. Like, Kaylin, I haven't even read the Rhino poem yet. Like, there's things I have not done. In fact, I do see that I got a couple of emails that looked important. And that sounds rude, right? Like, and what email doesn't look important? They all look important. But when one says, oh, I need to talk to you, like that's the subject, I pinned it to the top of my email account. So that's like when I get to the emails, I'm going to start there. So I'm saying this out loud that everybody knows. I see all the emails. I know I need to get to them. I have not because it's not life or death, but as important to a dad, right? So that's that. Rhino Bucks, we sent over the money this morning. We actually just made the purchase. I think we're probably over 100,000 liquidity again. I don't know, somewhere over there. Now, here's the interesting part about liquidity pool. Liquidity pool, which is the market cap of Rhino, right, is a combination. Actually, you know what? Let's just, hold on. Let's have fun, right? So let's do share screen. Okay. So obviously you can see that I just sent it. Cool. So when you get over here, you can see that. So you see these little purchases, like I had told everyone, I'm sending over the 500 every day, but instead of buying Rhino, I'm putting it into Rhino. But I don't suspect anyone's going to spend the time or do the calculations to say, oh, well, did he do it today? I'm not really sure. And then if somebody sells, it distorts it. So I said, I'll mark it by buying some insignificant number, but just so everyone could see, okay, he was here today. And as you can see, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, look at the amounts. Oh, but he only bought 23 cents. By the way, I don't think that's what your voice sounds like. It's just what your voice sounds like to me. And by you, it's not any one person, so don't take it offensively. And men understand this more than women because men have such a guy code that there's certain things in our DNA. And men, I'm sorry to put us all on blast like this. And women, I'm sorry if this is offensive. And I truly don't mean it to be because I'm talking genetics. I'm not talking decisions. We are genetically predisposed to do exactly what I'm going to say. So if you're offended by it, it's not us, it's the man upstairs. And that's just the way it is. So when men talk to men about women, they all have a woman's voice. Yeah, and then I spoke to her and she's like, wah, 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 wah. And it's not offensive. It's just the way, like when we tell the story, that's the way it comes out. And then, you know, and what'd she say about this thing? And then she was like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And it's, we hear you, we really do. But it's like when you are with that person and you love them, they're yours. You don't even share what that person says to other people because they would never understand it. So like, for instance, if you're married and your wife has a particular, she gets mad at you for this silly little thing, your husband loves you so much that he will not share with someone else that you got mad at something so insignificant, because then that person would look at him and say, well, why are you married to this woman if she treats you like that? That's the point. He loves you so much that he will not even give anyone the opportunity to disrespect you. In fact, he then downplays it and actually puts himself at sacrifice to pretend like he didn't even listen to you, in which case the person he's talking to says, yeah, well, I see why she's mad at you. Look at you. You don't even know what she's talking about. And I know you just went from like, Aunt, that was offensive to like, oh my God, you just blew my mind. That makes all the sense. And guys are like, wait, I didn't even realize that is why I do that. That actually is the science, at least from my point of view. But that's genetic. And actually, so you know what? We need to thank the men upstairs, because if we shared with everyone all the little things that our women did to drive us nuts, they would simply say to us, hey, listen, why are you even with this person? And too much of that conversation would break up the family life. So I think in our natural evolution, and what Darwin would say is that the man that knows how to speak to another man, like, yeah, and then she was like, I don't even know, is the man that has a happy life, happy wife, happy family. In fact, I probably could have done more of that, I guess, I don't know. But to the point of it, and I see someone in the chat, so I'm gonna see what they say after I go through this, but I'm hoping it's funny. If it's someone of the female gender yelling at me, I'm saying sorry already. But hey, that's what we come here for. So when you, anyway, so I'm showing you, so the point is I don't think anyone actually sounds like that when I say, and then you're looking at it like, oh my God, Amp, but it's only 23 cents. The amount isn't the point. The point is that I'm marking I was here. And then if you did the math backwards, you would say, oh, okay, he put the money in and blah, blah, blah. Now, the interesting part of this is that this liquidity pool then becomes wildly understated. Remember, the liquidity pool is a combination of two assets: the money, so how much cash is actually in there, and the value of Rhino, because there's a one-to-one correlation. So if there's if there is, how does that work? So if there's $1 in there, there's one Rhino worth $1. Okay, great. That's the ratio. Of course, again, it's one-to-one. So what does that mean when you just keep putting money in, but you don't raise the price? Well, it means that you're just adding Rhino at that price that you're not raising. So what does that mean about Rhino? You can add a lot more if you're not raising the price. Okay, that sounds cool, but then what? Well, then when the price actually gets raised, what happens to the liquidity pool? It moves up exponentially. Because, for instance, say the liquidity pool, and let's round it down to 100,000, right? It's 100,000. Okay, the liquidity pool is 100,000 and there's only 1,000 Rhino in there, right? So each Rhino is worth $100. 100 times 1,000 is 100,000. Okay. Now, let's say you're adding the Rhino, adding the Rhino, adding the Rhino. Sorry. Okay, and the liquidity pool is still 100,000, but now you have 2,000 Rhino in it. You know, to me, I don't really see anything change. The liquidity pool is still 100,000. You just have 2,000 Rhino in it. Yes. But now what happens when you raise the price? Now the liquidity pool goes up twice as much because you have twice as much assets in it. So remember, each Rhino was worth $100. Now, as that moves up, so it was 100 times 1,000 Rhino equal to 100,000. But now you have 2,000 Rhino. So now when Rhino goes up, say from 100 to $105, rather than the liquidity pool going to 105,000, because 105 times 1,000, it's now 105, that extra $5 times 2,000. So now it's 110,000. The point being, I know exactly what we're doing. And again, I actually didn't even describe it correctly because the liquidity pool is the money and the Rhino. The point being, if you understood the conclusion I brought you to, the calculation I offered was flawed, but the conclusion is accurate. So as long as you trust me on that, you could go back and do the math yourself. I promise you the conclusion is correct. The actual true calculation is a little bit more difficult. Well, you got the money here, but then you got the Rhino here, and it has to go up a proportionate. And all that proportion is done already in calculation. So to verbalize what the computer does kind of just gets everyone lost in the weeds. The point being, say you had 5 Skittles in your pocket and the Skittle was worth $1. And instead of you buying new Skittles, you just keep putting more Skittles in your pocket. And then when the Skittle price goes up, what happened to the price of your pocket? It went up a lot more because you own more of them. That's what the market's doing right now. It's just owning more Rhino, which is fine. Because again, I understand that I'm going to be alive for like 100 more years or something. So if I can go ahead and take advantage of this price, which I'm not happy with, right? Like I did not make this price. Somebody sold because they're actually on their deathbed. Like the person sent me a picture on their deathbed. And that's not me making fun of someone. I hope he's okay. But when I say that someone actually sent me a picture on their deathbed, they actually did. And the thing said, I'm now creating a will. I have to move the money into a trust for my brother. because I'm waiting to get bone marrow and I can't find a recipient or a donor. That is the definition of deathbed. So when I say someone's soul because they're on their deathbed, it's not hyperbolic. The point being, that happened, so I have this price. What do I do? Do I cry? Do I be stupid and say, okay, let me just keep buying it and run it up? No. I have this price. This is what God gave me. I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to buy as much as I can at this price. Because then when it makes that next run up, and I know it's going to make that run up because I will then move the money from buying it to buying the actual coin. Like, remember, the money comes in, I have discretion and management where it goes. So when I tell you I know the price is going to go back up, it's because I know the price is going to go back up because I'm the one that's going to make the price go back up. So right now, let me just buy it at this price, buy it at this price, buy it at this price. So now, for instance, you see how pooled Rhino is 40,000? That means there's 40,009, so 41,000, right? That means there's 41,000 Rhino in this market, okay? Let's take a look at something. Where is, okay. So this is where we are as of yesterday. I haven't updated the sheet. I'll update it right after this call. You know what? This isn't working. Because in doing that, you're also adding, you know, this has just been a failed experiment because the numbers are too complicated for me to just do on the fly. Hey, Deb, hey, Frida. Because when you add something to the market, you're not buying just the Rhino, you're buying it, but you're also putting money into the BUSD. So talk about embarrassing. That couldn't have worked worse. But the point of the story being, when you have more of the asset, then when the price of the asset goes up, the whole account is worth more. The point being, when right now we have 60% more Rhino in the market, thus when the market actually reaches a price even close to where it was, it will be worth substantially less. Of course, at this point, it's like, Ant, I don't really even know if I believe a single thing you just said because that was the worst calculations I've ever seen. And I promise you, when I say that sheet, I should not just do on the fly like that. It takes time to do all that. Anyway, moving along. So I had our team meeting yesterday about TED. So good news. So we actually removed the Microsoft component out of TED. So we were working with Microsoft Azure. And the thing about Microsoft Azure, it did provide a lot of bells and whistles, but it also exercised a lot of control. So there wasn't much we were able to do because we were in the Microsoft system. We subsequently removed them, and now we have a lot more things we can do. In fact, we can create like TED's children. I know that sounds weird, and I'm not releasing this anytime soon. But essentially, say for instance, I don't know, Carl or Brian or Deborah or Frida or Jim or whoever said, hey, Ant, listen, I work at this type of company. I need a TED that only does this one particular thing. I want it to be my customer service rep. So I'm going to give you everything about my company, all the prices, all of the everything. In fact, I'm going to give you the link to the sheet that has all my prices on it so that I can update prices manually. And then I need you to create me something that will then regurgitate that. So for instance, I need you to create me Ted's child. Let's call him Fred. I need you to create me a Fred that knows everything about my business and I can just put it up on my website and I never have to have a customer service rep again. Like that, Fred knows everything about the pricing. It knows all of my deals. It knows how to bring people to checkout links. It knows everything. And if it has any questions, it knows how to answer them. Can you make me that? The answer is yes. Now we can. Which actually gives me the idea that if I wasn't in court for like 900 hours of my life every week, that would be a really good Christmas idea. Hey, listen, we'll give you your own variation and you use it any way you want, which maybe still will be an idea. It's just a lot of work. But now we can do that, is the point. The corollary to it is that taking Azure out likely disrupted people's TEDs because now you're operating a version of TED that was 1.0 while we're on 2.0. So I'm allowing my team to fix the last things because there are like 3 different bugs that we're fixing right now that I itemized over the weekend, and again, they're being fixed as we speak. Once those are fixed, I think what we're going to do is delete everyone's TED and then give you and send out an email, hey, re-download it. And then you'll have like the super duper duper version. So don't go crazy with TED just yet. And the super duper duper version you'll have is going to be much quicker because we're going to upgrade it onto the Turbo. It'll be much more streamlined. It will be able to read images and produce images, and it will just be the top level of what we have. The next step is for those that have seen Iron Man, we're turning TED into Jarvis. So think about Alexa, but better. And there's a lot to it. But we already have the ASR technology, which is like audio sound recognition, I think, where we have a wake word. So it might be TED, right? So if you say TED anywhere around your phone, TED will turn on. So, hey, TED, I need this. Can you do this for me? And then TED will do it. We have that. Like, we've already developed it. Like, we have that right now. We need to implement and integrate it into the WhatsApp system because TED lives on WhatsApp, and get the permissions through Apple to allow WhatsApp, to allow microphone access, to allow the wake word, right? There's like steps to it. But once those steps are completed, TED now is a living, breathing organism within your home. You could be anywhere. You can yell, hey, TED, and you're going to get exactly what you want. From there, the next upgrade, which we're not going to be doing solely, like we're going to make partnership before this happens, will be the 3D holographic image that will be in your home. And then TED will just be like, yeah, I did it. I'm right over here. Hey, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here. From there, we do want to link it up and integrate it with all of your smart products, your various accounts, whether they be Amazon accounts or whatnot, to give TED this optimal centralized control that you can say, hey, TED, I need new toilet paper. Can you just order it? Go to my Amazon account, order toilet paper, have it sent the next day. Don't spend more than $5, please. That's it. Okay, great, done. That's where we're going. By the time we get there, we're going to have partnered with, I don't want to say, there's things that will happen before we get there. But in terms of a clear path there, I think we're like 2 weeks away from pursuing that. Okay, we have this, now let's get that partnership done. I spoke to our patent team this morning, which actually they're really active at like 3 a.m. So it's a guy named Barry, but then there's a guy named Nisha, and Nisha is an Indian name, and he responds at 3 in the morning, which I imagine is the time zone in India. So I think one of our patent guys are from India. That's the deduction I put together. And everything is going well. I make sure to stay on top of them because that's the patent I want. They did confirm with me that the provisional patent that we have been issued allows us preference. Now, you can only get a provisional patent if no one else has that provisional patent. The value of a provisional patent is that, say, a year from now or something, or some reasonable time frame, you say, okay, finally, I'm able to file for the non-provisional, but someone else already did file for the non-provisional. You can then say, hold up. I have the provisional, which means I have preference over them for whatever time frame that is. I don't know the time frame, but I know we're filing it now, so that time frame is null and void. We're doing it immediately, which means we actually will have preference, which is crazy, because the ultimate vision is that we're going to create the next form of marketing that's actually a step up from impulse marketing, which doesn't exist. So let me explain it. My head hurts. If I could even track the electrical, okay, anyway. So for instance, impulse marketing is you're checking out at a grocer and you see a Twix and you're waiting online and you're like, whatever, I'll get the Twix. It's right there. Okay. Impulse marketing is putting something near you, presumably when you have time to see it and it perks you up, or you need it in that moment, so it's being given to you. Like you go to the gas station to get gas, and then while you're getting gas, there's the oil container, and you're like, all right, I'll change my oil while I'm getting gas, right? Impulse marketing. The only version of marketing that would be any larger or any grander is if someone actually just bought and gave it to you, right? So you're home, and then you go to your garage. I guess it wouldn't be that. You're home and oil comes to your door, right? Like an oil can comes to your door. And in that, and the money already came out of your bank account. You've already paid for that oil can, but you've never actually opted into buying it. Now, one of two things happen. 99.9999% of the time, you're like, I didn't buy an oil can. I don't want, what am I going to do with an oil can? Send this back. I want my money back. And who bought this? Because I'm suing you. I'm stopping the charges. I'm rescinding them, whatever. That happens. Then there's that 0.0001% where you're like, I didn't buy that, but I kind of actually need it. Let me look at my bank, $7. I needed it. Kind of actually worked. Whatever. You know, I'm not happy this happens. I don't want this to happen again, but in this exact scenario, I'm kind of okay with it. What if you can produce that 0.0001 scenario 100% of the time? What form of marketing would that be? Well, Anthony, what you're talking about is like someone's reading your mind. Like they know what you're going to do before you do it. Yes. But Ant, like that doesn't even come close to it. But doesn't it? What is TED? Like really, what is TED? TED is your one-on-one companion. The entire code is to learn you. It has Myers-Briggs test, Big Five. It has more psychological DNA than you have. Not you have any clue, because that sounds like we're getting one on you. But that, put it this way, the Surgeon General report on the epidemic of loneliness is the initial DNA of TED. That's the initial baseline code that we built everything off of. And in solving the epidemic of loneliness, the solution is creating or having a support system that allows you to feel valued that you can share with. Take that, multiply it times AI. What is TED? So here's the point. Can you engage enough with a single person, let's say person, that person has a certain idea of things you're going to do before you do it, right? So I'm a single guy. I can't imagine expressing that anytime soon. If a girl asks me out on a date, I won't know what to do, so don't ask me out, right? I do not want any romantic life, probably for another 100 years. But let's say there is a day that I start dating again. Okay, and let's say I start dating consistently. Okay, the first Friday of every month, he has babysitters, he gets his grandmother, whatever the case may be, and he goes out on a date. Okay. What do I do on that first Friday of every month? Well, maybe earlier in the day, I go shopping for clothes, right? Maybe I get a haircut that day. Maybe I get groomed up. Maybe I really go to the gym and get that extra pump in. What do I do? Do I buy new shoes? What do I do that day to get prepared for this one date a month that I go on? It's only once a month. You're probably doing something to like make it special. Okay. Do I spend an hour online and looking up different restaurants? Like, oh, I got to find a special one for this special girl. What do I do? Now, conceivably, whatever I do is fairly traditionalized, right? He's doing this every first Friday of the month. Therefore, if you were my best friend, is it conceivable that you would say, all right, next Friday is the first Friday of the month. I just went to this amazing sushi spot. Ant is going to love it. Like, this is the type of place he would bring on a date. I don't even know which hand's the phone. I'm ready. Okay. Ant, listen, there's this new sushi spot. The reservation, you gotta reserve a spot now for next Friday. And I know you're probably taking someone out. Hopefully it's the same girl. Like, hopefully it's going well. But it's called Mizu, and you should really call and get reservations. Bye. Okay. A friend was able to predict that. Was it hard to predict? Not really. You have enough of a sample size. There's enough data to show that this is something you would do. Okay. Now take it a step forward. What if your friend, instead of calling you to ask to alert you, to inform you of a place, instead they called the place, booked the appointment under your name for the time you always go, 8 o'clock, right? And said, sorry, hey, Aunt, there's this new place. You're going to love it. Listen, I'm your best friend. I know what you would love, and I don't even want to ruin the surprise. You're going to love it. The place is Mizu. I already booked you 8 o'clock, and I know you like the table in the corner, and it's next to the window, whatever nonsense. Here's the address. Enjoy. What happened? Am I mad? No. In fact, it just saved me how much time? Because I would have spent how much time looking for this restaurant? And I wouldn't have looked for it until the day of, which meant I wouldn't have got a seat because I would have had to book a week before. So is that friend a great friend? Yeah. But why are they a great friend? Because they knew me well enough to know that that's what would please me. And they knew me well enough that they had the confidence to know that if they had done it, I would say thank you. Now, what if I didn't? You know what? I'm actually not going on a date next Friday. The last girl I went on a date with was really didn't work out too well. I'm just taking that Friday off. Okay, what would my friend do? So my friend's a lefty. Hey, I booked an appointment for Anthony, party of two, next Friday, 8 o'clock. Yeah, that table. He's not gonna make it. You could cancel it. What happened? Well, my friend just called and canceled it. Meaning my friend knew me well enough to do something on my behalf with the high probability I would be pleased, and yet the fact that I was not pleased was able to undo it. Did my friend do that because of any instinctual, God-given, this person like wished on a four-leafed clover? Or did they really just use data? I know Anthony does this. I know he does this on this date. I've seen him do it for this period of time. Hence, the calculation, the probability that he's going to do it again is fairly certain. And then they act on it. If I do this for him, will he be happy? Would he do this for me? Is this what our friendship equals? Am I participating in growing our friendship like he would for me? If that equals true, now we're talking coding, then do it. Why can't Ted do that? I don't understand. Why can't he? In fact, he could do it better than your friends because Ted only lives and breathes to talk to you. Your friend presumably has a family, kids, his own dating life, a job. He does things more than just doing you. Ted only does you. So take it a step further. What if Ted had access to your Amazon account as you? Well, Aunt, that's a little crazy, right? Maybe. But what if in Ted's term and service was that if Ted ever ordered something for you and you did not like it, Ted would cover the cost and you would keep it? Well, Aunt, in that case, that's pretty cool. But wouldn't you lose a whole bunch of money? Like, wouldn't that go belly up? No, because you think Ted's going to do that again? Ted's not in the business of displeasing you, and he's definitely not in the business of losing Rhino money. So if Ted has the ability to cover the cost, kind of like calling the restaurant and canceling the appointment, would it behoove you to continue that relationship knowing quite clearly that the growth in front of you is that anything you would ever need is already foresawn and delivered to you? That sounds kind of cool, right? Take that general idea and blow it up. How large does that go? How big can that be? If Ted can talk on a phone, if Ted could send pictures, if Ted could produce images, if Ted could do ABC, how big does that become? Very quickly, you start getting to a point where everything I just shared with you, I can't do. I could think it up, but I can't do anything I just shared with you. But that's what the patent does. That's what the patent is. So once we get that, I can then create case studies for any company in the entire world. Tell me a company that doesn't have the resources to pursue the next level of marketing, which is larger than impulse, which is just, we have a bunch of stuff. We're going to learn what you need. We're going to send it to you. If you don't like it, we'll cover the cost. You keep it. Oh, make you going to use it more? Great. Now, does that mean that's all it could do? No, because now that you've gained the participation in the populace that are using it, what other things can you do? Would Ted know who your soulmate is? Probably. Well, Deborah, your soulmate is your husband, right? Like, great, great, great. Who's single? I don't know who's single. Let's say Rick is single, right? Rick is your soulmate. So we found your soulmate. She lives in South Korea. And Rick's like, oh my God, no wonder I haven't found her in the US. Well, she lives in South Korea. We want to connect you to, here's her WhatsApp. Message her and just say, Ted told me to tell you flower, and she'll know exactly. And then she gets a text from Rick and he says flower, and she's like, oh, Ted promised me one day someone would message me and say flower. It's finally happened, right? Like, do you ever need banking again? Banking becomes obsolete. It just doesn't exist anymore. You don't need a bank account somewhere. In fact, this would be the foray into what crypto was meant to be, where it's just something that's able to be interchanged really, really quickly, right? Like, there's so much stuff. Again, I know what I'm saying sounds, Anthony, this is like way futuristic. The takeaway from the conversation isn't that we're going to create this today. The takeaway from the conversation is that we're going to have the patent that guarantees we're the only ones that are able to create this, which means we can then create case studies for different companies and say, this is what we believe you would be really great if you did, and you did, and you did. And a company looks at us and says, oh my God, yeah, okay. Like, what do we do now, right? And if anyone believes that I won't do that to every million companies in this entire world, you don't know me. So that's my that's my commentary on the patent. That's going well. Take the trader's money. So we have 10 newcomers. So take the trader's money, which I laughed about yesterday because I showed you the results on Twitter to show you that we have a click rate of like 34%. Are you out of your mind? Now, and when I say click rates, it's not like, you put an ad and there's a link. We did a video, which meant you had to watch the video and then click the button. Like, it's a little bit, it's the most impressive marketing we've ever done. And for it, we did not get good results because the landing page stopped me. You know what? I know everyone's going to laugh at me for this because we've all kind of come from the same tree. I've come from the Rick tree. You've mostly come from the Rick tree. Here we are, right? So we all understand conversions and blah, blah, blah. So the ad goes directly to a lander that has no lead capture. We had what would it come out to, like 13,000 link clicks and got, I think, 10 emails out of it. And I'm laughing because you actually couldn't have done worse. Like God gave you gold and you're like, I think I'll eat these rocks. So what we're doing for this weekend's retry at that is we'll have a lead capture. So when you click the link, it will go to, and if you want to join, put your email here, you got to sign in. We need to know who everyone is, whatever. Then you press the button, then it goes to the lander page. So we can capture every single person. And with the lander page, we have 100, 1,000, and a 10,000 plan. Well, Ant, maybe somebody doesn't want to do the 100 plan. Maybe the first time they actually try this thing that you just invented, they don't want to do $100. Duh, right? So what we're going to do is a fill in the blank plan. Whatever amount, fill it in. And maybe, you know what, that's actually not good. We need to have suggestions because people like to be spoon fed too. Here's the $10 plan, the $100 plan, or the $1,000 plan. Maybe we just do 10, 50, and 100. I don't know. We'll figure it out. The point being, we'll have 3 options or fill in the blank, in which case everyone that gets to the page, no one will be priced out. So I can't even, like, when you have 12,000 clicks to your page, and the clicks are from an ad that is the video. Like, here's what we're doing. Click here to join. I can't stop because it's like, you only get those usually once in life, and you better make good of it. And I did it as poorly as you could. But the cool thing, and why I'm laughing about it, is the results we had now only confirm, A, we know what we did wrong, duh. But secondly, we have the data from the results we got, so we can then retarget just those people and people that are like those people. And we're going to do it for a whole weekend rather than a Sunday night and Monday morning, right? So I really suspect next week's results to be much better. And if we're able to get good results, we're just going to stick with Twitter. Because the thing with Elon over at Twitter is that he is creating an algorithm that favors those that are real people that are contributing to his platform. Like, the algorithm at Twitter is not the algorithm at Facebook. It's not like an a seniority, I guess would be better, or a meritocracy where everyone's equal. It's not. If you've been on Twitter for X amount of time, if you're verified, if you have X amount of followers that are verified, if you're doing X amount of comments, I also believe, not that he'll ever admit, if you like his post, right? Which actually wouldn't be bad. It would actually make sense, because to buy into what Twitter's doing, you have to buy into who Elon is. Therefore, if you like Elon, you're more prone to be a greater participant in what Twitter does. Therefore, you should be moved up the algorithm. So I really think, based on the results, because they were so much better than anything I've ever done in my life, that the actual algorithm that produces those results, like, for instance, I have 2 subscription services. I subscribe $2.99 a month to Elon's post and $2.99 to another guy's post. So in the algorithm, I'm actually already a paying Twitter member. So I really think that played a huge role. So now that I know all of this because I was in it, I'm hoping next weekend is like, wow, do you see what they just added like 100, like, how did that even happen? In which case, if that happens, we'll share a case study, and that'll be a Christmas gift. Hey guys, check this out, right? So that's really cool, and we're really excited about that. And then finally, once this is all going, right? So Take the Trays money is fully functional. It's functional right now, but like, it could get better, obviously. Once that's really moving in the right direction, like, it's done, we're not still upgrading it by virtue of what we just spoke of, we're still upgrading it. Ted, once he's done, the patent, once that's done, and all of this should be done in the next month and a half, then Rhino Bucks actually becomes what we market. Because Rhino Bucks then becomes, hey guys, these are our assets, this is the patent, this is the pitch, these are the case studies, anything that this patent does, or anything that we do, goes to Rhino Bucks. We use all the income to buy Rhino Bucks. Therefore, if you think that this stuff is going to be good, you should buy Rhino Bucks. And that's it. And we just buy it every day. In which case, now the individual is saying, oh, I want to be like, I very clearly can see what they're doing. Like, I want to be a part of that. And that then gins up the recurring revenue, the weekly revenue, all of that stuff. So we have a bunch of facets. We have the moonshot in the patent. We have the Take the Trays money. That is a weekly new program that, by all accounts, is going to be successful. Like, we just outlined the metrics of it, and we're quite confident in that. Ted, I'm reluctant to make him something that brings in money. I think I want to protect that moonshot. I don't think I want to dilute it down by, yeah, he does this, this, and this, and we've offered it for this, but for you, I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. But then with the Rhino Bucks, then that's where the money. So to kind of go back to the beginning of the conversation, which I really think I'm going to, only the people here are going to see all the mistakes I made with those calculations. because it just wouldn't, it's not for my own ego, but anybody watching the video, if they're just a passerby, they're going to say, what am I watching? Like, enough. So it's not my ego I'm protecting, it's Rhino I'm protecting. Anthony, that's a real cute way of saying it. It's true. So I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes you can overlap your ego, right? When you own the company. Like I want the company to look good. And by own, I mean, we all own it, right? What was I saying? Yeah, so I think everything is where it's supposed to be. I think everything's good. So let me run. It's now 11:15. Take the trader's money's at 1 o'clock. So I have an hour and 45 minutes. That's till 2 o'clock, which means then I only have 2 hours to. So as of now, I have only 3 hours to complete my court stuff, which is really, so I do have to go. But love y'all. And I will see you again tomorrow. But things are, like I was saying before, to bring it back to the beginning, the fact that we're adding all the Rhino to the market now at this price, it's because, again, remember, I can go ahead and add to the Rhino price. Oh yeah, it dropped down from this to this, and now look, it's going right back up. But who am I fooling? I know that there's probably people that have shock that they saw it go down. When this goes back up, I'm going to start selling it. I know that we have a bunch of coin coming liquid Monday for people that participate in that deal. I have no interest in allowing and in prioritizing short-term interest over long-term. So what I'll do is, I know the long-term picture, duh. So if I know what that looks like and I can go ahead for the benefit of everyone, buy it here, it would be, remember when Trump was president and oil went down to like negative $37? It was like a really wacky day. And the Republican side was like, oh my God, the president should buy a bunch of oil. Like they would actually pay him to take the oil and he'll put it in the SPR. The media is so that they're like, oh, he'd be helping out his big oil friends. They're losing money. And then there he goes buying it. No, he's not. He's helping the country because this guy that's president, how much of our oil reserve is gone? It's at like 40-year lows. It's called the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. You know what the word strategic means? In moments that you need it, you have it. It's not strategic to use it because inflation is going up. Do you remember when rates were at all-time lows under, I don't know, the last president? And the discussion was, oh my God, he should go ahead and introduce 100-year bonds and then refinance all the country's debt over those 100 years and then push that out so far at what, 1%? Who wouldn't do that? The other side, oh, look, he had how many companies that went bankrupt? You're going to let this president take more debt, more debt? Okay, now we have 34 trillion debt with a 10-year yield up like 4 or 5%. Imagine having a 100-year yield at 1%. It actually hurts my brain to talk about. And I'm not talking politics. This whole thing was not politics. It's almost a commentary on like brainwashing. Those two examples, and Anthony, you're cherry picking examples. Yeah, I know. I picked the two that made my case, right? But I think you can make your case about an economic issue and not correlate that to, oh man, if we allow Anthony to make this case on an economic issue, then automatically we're also saying that we agree with his verbiage or how he treats women or anything like that. No, they're different. The fact that we didn't do those two things is, so to that point, I will buy it at these prices because I know what that looks like. So that's your daily, I have to go anyway, but like right on time, my grandmother. Anyway, so love y'all, and I will see you tomorrow.